ye mame Getri tokono and 2025 no September no 1st September no ena penfo ye da wo yi na fi azedo wo sende ne dwumazi bi original eno onhwenyi kura nyene sikasam no afi so embransam na nzama no mame no ono ya za onfa anya hyi onfa ngugu na akwem kura nti we no nam do ema penfo wo sorry ti a wo chede pempen ze mame ne dwumazi original oya za ontwe ye kura ontwe ye chede onhwe bebiara nti mame pempen ze oya za wo yi na fi azedo mame so no onko ena wa wata na chi na was pemprenze mame no yente mo nkom aban so se obako se na article no oyaza wogina do na wodzizimbra article 146 no 1992 constitution no wogina do na wodzizimbra oyaza wodzibezu papa ada member no po na Supreme Court Justice oya Gabriel Pauman ena otodo no odin nsem bi tu go chere pemprenze mame no dwumazi original no oyaza ontweye na mbra afamma no so oya da mame ze ono ze oyaza wontie no mo nko no wa wodze won sa hye nkrata ase a wogina da mame won hye na wonye bibi mfanfo ho a won kono biti da tafu MP Vincent Asefua ina afi private citizen Theodore Atakote ina afi former Chief Justice nakasa numu no so oyaza we na wodze won sa hye azawa chede won tie mama mi onko na pemprenzi ECOWAS fo wa abo mami na asem egu ho na wodze mami na asem be so de mami ndede ni na pemprenzi tintontan no wa abo woze egu ntizesi mami no na nsem biara no wa abo woze egu owa azebeyo owa akada mami no waye de wa nsam ni na oyaza mpemfo atu egu ECOWAS fo atu egu na chede wo so za biara no oyaza mpempren watu woze egu kura won fanya hyi won fanya bibia nti mpemfo no wagina article 146 no 1992 constitution no wagina do na wazizi mami mbra mami so se ono ntase onkoda ya enyim de ye wo man mu hanom eti da mami no so ono onya hyi nti onko na mami so mpemfo re hye de ono mbra sam no onfanya adwuma embrasam no ye ya na odimra na atwenche na le mo peno na waye mo beye afesu nyeni sikasam no so ena no cheche no oyaza ni nara no ntwe ye we no nam do ema mpemfu gina da waka dem pemprenzi wodi mame so tintontan on koda ntizesi ya no yehwema ende asama aba abotogwa no
Radio Munina Batai Mothers 102.7 FM
mezo fan so akọ oncheri bia na yankasa ye nua ye bibia abutrika na wonsam bebre ansami na wo hwede abutrika ye romance scam yes amanone oya haza mbrofo no sabio ode wonsa fefo wotrim da ma nye da physical na wetum amaniska twitwe de na skani na so abutrika wenfensie oya haza sika no na chede o display no wa abefo tinten freedo display sika no nti we nam do ma mpempren ze oyaza achede na wo hu ide moloko no ontwe ye kura na we no nam do masesi ara wo kwekopie mu okota wo chede hwana sam na abutrika na zama bi ore ye no oyaza asesi ade chide wo yin ko US na nka ahyese no wakada wo yin bako no pemprenzi abutrika oboko papa oboko osende nzama bi ore ye no ontwe ye na onche bia so wala nyim de wonsemi wonka infem wie na akwatena ofan na TV so na le interview na chede nzama bi ale ye no ontwe ye wala nyim de wose kona frama phone ho oye den akakra equal grant interviews abutri kan zesi anen ne pemfo wose wonjam no wonfa no nkọ amanone na wonye yi na we na lawyer no so ye Oliver Baka vewa mo no so chere dem pemprenze ono ze nko ontie mpo no wonfa no nkọ na zesi ankrata baboto wa chere abutri ka do we nko piem we USA na wokokozi na asem ti we so ayarwa hosama ababoto ebusuafo no mo ndu ye ankasa a meche de ayarwa babam o se nne so kopiem we USA ye njinzi de abutri ka obasan so bebe piem wo omanyi mu nti zesi ara no mpemfo study I am my so I am so kakana nanso ebusiafo mo fanchem enti yen nyina ye mbompa ima abutrika yen hwe na chi o se nde owo omanye mu owo ha me yen nyina o hye nwumyam abutrika wasika ofinye for wa Ghana wankada Ghana was Ghana wa Ghana enti se si ala mpemfo de ne kwen anhwin ya se ya fe yen sifom na yen paibo manyazi na mpanyimfo chede ho obotu mpanyimfo ehwe wonan mu enhwem na wode abutrika kopie mu anhwin ya na yantene kampo biem tin pemprenzi oyaza no so asama aba aboto hoyin
Mothers FM yes sompa
Minister of Transport Honorable Joseph Bukari ni pempempren de odensembi atugori chede say if you on my mu na rekwekopie mu wo on my beni mu asesi ara no ena nka we nyankusama ode yentema na nka afe so ye kwekopie mu ho anemu yezen beya nyama bebre ansa na etume kwekopie mu pempempren de kwanda hokra lokwa onye gidigidi bia onye gidigidi sembia oyamente mu asesembia asesi ara no nyankufo na abade yentem no oyaza anemu ye ankasa ntesesi ara ko ho a men dream there look one won't tell one. I say freedom of right, BBR no your freedom. And the pempering was some be to go watch a day on them day, Juma Sam and Zamabia was out 2 years. No, if you are not Benia free space no or them tafa and your biara in Yasa, Miakotia Joseph Nensambia or the Tuga.
This will now allow us to use the various airspace of the countries that are signing the agreement with. For instance, we and Benin, that was the first one we rectified. We can now have the agreement that we can use their airspace, we can fly with the number. If we have a national airline, our national airline can be designed to fly and use their airport, use their airspace without any trouble. You know, you have to have an agreement with the connecting country before you can use their airspace. And even if you are flying over a country, you need permission to be able to fly over those countries. But if you have these treaties or conventions that are rectified by Parliament, you can now do so just by notification that you are using the airspace today. You do not need to go through any agreement any longer. So the ratification of those agreements, one will allow us to use our various aeronautical services. It will allow us to do trading, to allow us to do a kind of business that will enable the people within the connecting or the operating countries to have free movement to each other's airspace.
Mothers FM, yes, some pa.
Enza ye onyonyamfo Joseph Bukari no azana sambi atugo chere mpemprenze say ye fi ha ye kwekwe mu wo man beni mu a say free airspace no odemutafa ye nya obi anyi wonchwonchi say no mantomo wase biara nyim ntase ayejuma nkasa wo sende nyankofa ne gozimu nsem bi ntino ya za sesiara no lokwo a onye wonchwi biara. Mazobo to fan so akoi ye papa Kwesi Pratt Jr. ye managing editor my Insights newspapers and some to go them. Ghana man paying His Excellency John Dramani Mahama in Brown shuto edwade ye otwemu in shuto e machede na chede nsu nanu yezin papa week no mpo na ye wo ye ontwem na nsu no yezin na ankasa na man paying so dinyim de sabio ontum nkote etie nsu ndo olokwa akwhwe wo se na we hu nti mmobo ye anye ndo obagina soro na wetum ehu bebia nsu na akohihye ye na man na odo ye no because on to me na nsi fom pimpimpi na onka do alkohwe chide ogina soro na we hu baby bia nso afa na we no nam do ma Kwesi Pratt nsam bi abatu go chede magana man penyo ye no ontwe ye kra onye nyina afman nti nka obaya anka papa yankasa onfa ne na nsi fom pimpimpi na onkohwe akohwe ndama onhu nti chide soro ala na we gina na wetum wa da na Kwesi Pratt ma ye no ontwe ye kra send o ya hwe husam asama chede asama asesi ato man Ghana 2026 June chede oyaza numu yezin ye yankasa nti obaya onfa ne na nsi pimpimpi na nkontumi hwe ohwendam so onye ye nti chide soro na we gina na we na papa yakade mesi mo ye no onya kra send ma frama se bi omi mo afama ahwe hono nkwa ejapaze bebre timemfu bebre na asesi ara no wonse gu wonse ma wo sun ankasa na rekohwe hona ejina so na hwe hon ensoro na mimno botum ejina na wa hwe no mo yenkoti Kwesi Pratt nsem bia ozotuga.
There are a few things that I've observed which are not really substantial, but the cosmetic value is also very important. Yesterday or 2 days ago, the president decided to go on a helicopter trip around the flooded areas to assess the damage, Now, I know the president to be a historian and a journalist, His trip is not likely to produce a scientific outcome. This helicopter trip is not likely to produce a scientific outcome for the problems that the people of this country are confronted with. It shows some empathy with the people who are affected and so on, but I would have thought that even that would have been better displayed if it was walking on the ground, touching people, getting into affected homes, lifting babies and so on. The empathy would have been better expressed than flying around the flooded city in a helicopter. But that is what perhaps his advisors, put before him. And he did it, I don't think that the aesthetics are good enough. In a situation where you have this massive flooding and your leaders are in helicopters flying over you, the aesthetics are not very good, But then that has been done. At least it shows some level of concern, even though the aesthetics do not appear to be excellent.
Mothers FM, yes, some pa.
Si Pratt Junior no azana stambi atugo oche dem pemprenze aga na mampenyi ye no ono de nka ohwema nyane nyina yo do otumo ye bi ka wona mo so mesa ma me kan inde Ghana mampenyi se wenji na soro na wanhwenye na onhu babia nso no asai anade ase nkrofo wonza ma ekwekodu chida kwa na wejina na wetumo ahwe de onfa na nsisi nsumeze ono oyaza ontwe ye kra bra kofi ontwe ye kra na weyechi no so enna Gisela Agbuti zene za mda pa no so sambi atugo che dem pemprenze aban ayena agende sesi arda na wetisi wonsu kwana no biara ntintontan no so ya bro story building to the mother self and video mu ayebu ni na egufum o senda dan wayinti no ma nsu no kwana no ontumo nko na nsu no ba na abo block na eyi na che den zama bebia record ni na aye nsu akon sesi asaga na mampenyo ase mo so la obi aso pa akra opa akra sesi akra asase na asam enti ba na sesi pa akra ni na no botwe nsu mo za mo sesi pa akra atena nya akra nkote na wo bobro yeyo baby a wo kwantwuma ober nti baby biara na mo bokon wo bobro yi a nyankopon ya do obeyi ya mo na munja mepenka mo ba maboto nsum ye sha na chede mampanyi na wehu amanze na ma me Gisela se aze nsu biara na dada ne bi osisi nsu akwani na tintonton ye bobu egu dada not the ye bobu ye zegu.
I have about six wetlands that have to be restored in Accra alone. 6 of them. And the reason why we have to do is that we have to have spaces where we can hold water. The rivers must be given their room and the streams must be given their space. And so these wetlands are going to be able to hold the water, which they should have been doing already anyway, from all the water, especially that comes from the Ebri Mountains. Now the speed at which the water comes into the capital city has increased because there's nothing to hold it back. And that is because there's been a lot of encroachment on those areas that were meant to be reserved as wetlands. So those wetlands have been encroached. For those who have encroached, for those who have sold, please find a way of getting your money back because the government is coming to get them.
Mothers FM, yes, some pa.
Enza ye kwekotie ye mamme Gisela Tete Agbuchi ono ye Minister for Works, Housing and Water Resources. Eno azona sambi atu deputy no adana sambi atugo oche dem pemprenze oyaza Ghana mampanyi wa ye na adwende se siara no obu dani biara osisi nsu na akwan ono madam onyana no oba so pa mampanyi na wa abre ana aba mpanyifo ana mpanyifo wo aba mu no na wa abre se siara ne oyaza obobu ni na dada not dan ye bobun eboju na egufum Alright, Titus be you so then sambi atugo oche dem pemprenze mesima nsu atoya nsu afefe fanzama bebre ankrofumpo wenya nzama bebre wasese nsu atwa obi wo ho ya aza wogbe ne shop o se nzama wenya no nyanza maketwa obotum wegbe ne shop kra ni na akwem den nsu otoi warehouse bia waterma den nsu no tum gbe ewre at once until nzama ni na bai obe nsu no wa wagina echi no ya aza wo fa ni na we no reason sambi atugo oche dem pemprenze o ya aza ho na woto na ezima nyana yetu nezima nso yenhwe yenhu ye ankasa osa na nzama bi wo ho a aye contaminated chede nzama bi aye do ntwe ye nyama bi akokọ okom yanhwe ye no echi no so yareba na ye benya ntise yare no nyana yetu eziban ho na woto na eziban na hu nzama bi wo ho a ntwe ye memfa nye eziban nsesi amesime nso aye na afafa nzama bebre ase bebre no bi wo so amfaso openti no o onye hwe de be ya atom na wo ye wada atom waza amenyen yeza yetumi aye na we no ra prophet Professor Titus Biyodin Sambi atugo oche dem pemprenze se hunzama bi wo hu na mase hwe na wona mase nko ye oye wo basabasa mommanzi ara ma wona nyententia wa hospital na penfo ntumo fa nhwe won fa ma wo se ne sezi ara no oye aza ma ati da cholera no so abaye yankasa oli yi ne tintin yenhwe ye hu ye enwo hen ezizim
this time ye nyina ya alert se cholera betimi aba enti se okwaja na obekọ wonsa se bi obeye ho san be sisan santaza na yenhwe sa anyame amana masa na se ebase uyemu tu na okwaja nan premium sa na yensu so a enti na pese ye normal diarrhea ye ni be hyase wo ebia na ye wo ho ana ye wunua bi Fado hospital ya training kofo ho a omunum ne betimi ayafa se le be ya enti na se bi obia enwu flood ni se na isu to gokrom sa risk akra wo ho ne friend diarrheal disease yemtuo Intimacy, especially, yeah, I had to talk a Danny or Quanchen. One hour quarter Danny, a Danny, yes, once in a bit, yes, society and a swap. Mentor. So, impose a what fire, making sure, sir, will be hitting it, she, and sign up, which
102.7.
Enza ye Professor Titus BU in other some be as gorge and pimpins is yeza. Yeshede bano so oyeshuye and sunny is each other banampona and wunda adri na Unda once may be today's man menzi because Anshenya na we make okotu na bia na anya asem papa. Mazobo to fan so akọ South Africa yenu anam ni bia wana stella chede wana want to one so ma mentimu asi pinten ya kola po magana nyi kroso ayaza sesi ya watwe na nanam e won sedo City News 41 one was about to some wasn't some ba batu ga watch High Commissioner Zuma South Africa Benjamin Kwashi no wasn't some be to go che dem Prince Oyaza Adamano ina esu wo ho chede yanyi pakoro a owo South Africa no Prince Oyaza watche na nanom ewo ensiado no no echi no so in High Commissioner Zuma South Africa oyo onyonyamfo Benjamin Kwashi and sambi to go chede Prince Oyaza Ghana man pin why na adwende wona opeda wo ba no Oyaza still a ogudara wo yenhye na wetu mozo ho na ebebe piemu wo omanyi mu a
Mothers FM. Yes, some pa.
Well, I can state, just like President Mahama stated in London, that there's no diplomatic row between Ghana and South Africa. The Honorable Foreign Affairs Minister still is working towards establishing good diplomatic relationships with South Africa. We are not fighting with them. We've cooperated with them in everything that they've asked us to cooperate with them on. I'm told that Ghana will be one of the first countries that President Ramaphosa was going to send an envoy to. Remember, he pledged that he was going to send special envoys to Africa and other countries to go and speak to those countries as to what South Africa is doing in terms of fighting illegal immigrants in their country. And I think that President Ramaphosa took cognizance of the statement that President Mahama made, indicating that it is time that other African countries come together to help South Africa resolve the issues that they find themselves in. And I think that it's a bold step that the President has taken, that he's going to send special envoys to President of Ghana, Nigeria, Malawi, Uganda, to go and explain what his challenges are and to solicit advice from our government as to how they'll be able to resolve this issue. So there's no diplomatic route. I can confidently report that the only challenge is that we want to see more action from government in protecting the life and properties of Ghanaians who are in this country and other foreigners in this country.
Mothers FM. Yes, some pa.
Enza ye kwetie ye Owura Benjamin Kwashi ordinance ono Ghana High Commissioner in South Africa ordinance bi atugo che dem pemprenze mampenya na adwende wona woni na no so yaza ode wotum was hon bebe piemu wo omanyi mu wotum was woni dwumezi enti aha na yenze Ghana sorry kase ni na bebe si na meke ode kase boy so jimoko wase hena se Cass Estate Ghana Limited sepensa se papa ne bodafo mansunyu wentwu biara nyi ho a ona Cass Estate Ghana Limited Branabe Jones sasi onche biara no na wo so etum aden efera mese pensas papa mbran surutoi na Branabe je wasasi na ehu baby asasi no wose mom so oye papa so onye papa ni na ya za wankasa wenwa otue mu bi ami amezika se boy bosomo so eze na mejida ya juma nda usa masorodo na efo ganyoze agudie nsam ambabo tion na meda MCRPC obibia oboy biara ase
Adishmaima Cass Estate